guys. So I used to have this YouTube channel and I loved it. I absolutely loved it. That was back when I was like finishing high school, going into college, in college. Um, I loved like doing my makeup, doing makeup tutorials, doing like that's back when like favorites videos were all the rage and just like that kind of stuff. And I haven't really used it in a very, very long time. Obviously, there's no videos except for one, I think. Um, and so yeah, I figured this is like a really good video to start up my channel back with. So hi, if you are new here or if you know me and you're like, what is going on? It's been a long time, sister. We're gonna get into it. We are going to get into it. So yeah, if you're new here, my name is Katie B, and I don't even know where to start. Couple fun facts about me, I guess, is that I was born in Moscow and I was in an orphanage for the first like year and a half of my life. And I was adopted and I've grown up in the United States. I lived in West Virginia my whole life. I just recently moved to Ohio and I've had a really, really good life. I'm obsessed with animals, especially dogs and cows. And I love staying home. I have 3 rescue animals. I've got 2 dogs and a cat. I have Lila, who's the oldest. She's a coonhound mix. And we have Ruby, who's like a chocolate lab mix. And then we have Turkey, who is our cat that is a rescue. And I live with my boyfriend in Ohio. We just bought our first house here. It'll be a year here, January 30th. And I'm so excited. And like we're creating our dream life. Like he is the man that I'm going to marry. We knew that 8 years ago when we met. And so, yeah. I am a photographer and a videographer full time. That's my job and I love it. I work for my dad at our family business in West Virginia, and my sister works there. We do videography together. And then she does a bunch of videography, on her own. And then like I do a bunch of like all the photography for the company. And yeah, my sister is my adopted parents' biological child. She's 5 years older than me. And we're like complete besties now. Like I feel like growing up, like siblings, at least sisters probably know this, like you don't get along, okay? Like I was the annoying sister that like wanted to do everything she was doing, and like I know I was probably annoying as shit and she couldn't stand me. And we used to fight all the time and it was crazy. But now we're like best friends. We talk every day pretty much. I'm sorry, my nose is like running for some reason. So yeah, I figured I want this channel to kind of be like everything that I love now that I'm like an adult. I'm 28. I don't know if I said that. And like, yeah, if I want to do a makeup tutorial or whatever, or more like a get ready with me, I don't really need to do a tutorial. And just like chit chat, I'm gonna do that. If I want to share you guys like our house tour and like projects that we still want to do and things like that, I'm gonna do that. If I want to take you guys to the cow farm, because I work with a Highland cow farm, which is amazing, and show you that. Like I want this channel to just be for fun mostly, but I also like have really wanted to make this like another job almost, and just enjoy it. Like post whatever I want, have fun with it. I want to like share my story, but also like share more of my life than just being an adopted kid. But yeah, so this channel, I'm really excited about it. I keep saying for years and years and years that I'm gonna bring it back, and I just don't do it, or I don't give myself the time or whatever, or I think I have to have some like big plan. But actually this is like the perfect timing because in 2023 I decided to resume my search for my birth mom and my family, and I've been sharing that journey on my Instagram and my TikTok. I've connected with so many other adoptees through doing that, especially on TikTok. And I figured if I'm already posting stuff on there, like this is the only place that I haven't really shared it. And I'm not sharing it for like any reason really for me. Like I just know like back when I started, I would have loved if I had someone to watch their journey, whether it goes good or bad. Like just knowing that like someone else understands certain things that I feel, or like maybe they don't know kind of where to start, or like, and it's been really, like I said, it's been really amazing to connect with other adoptees, and like I've told them ways that, I've tried it, and it's actually worked for a girl I just talked to the other day. She found her mom because I told her to do it a certain way, like try something new, and she gave me a different way that I can maybe find mine. Like, so getting to connect with other adoptees and like just hear their stories and hear mine, share mine, and like go off of each other. Like, it's like I finally have that little community, if that makes sense. If that's even the right word, of like people that are like me. Like growing up, like kids did not accept me. They did not, I don't know, if I wore, I don't know. I could have been like the princess of Russia and they would have still hated me. Kids just were not nice about where I came from, and I was always like made to feel like ashamed of it, even though like I wasn't. My family has never made me feel that way. Like from the beginning, I always knew I was adopted. I always knew that my story is incredible and it's nothing to be ashamed of. And yeah, and so now that I'm an adult, it's obviously my decision whether or not I share my story or not. And it's been a really long road. I decided when I was like 20 that I wanted to start this search for my birth family, and lots of ups and downs. So I'm probably gonna make a bunch of videos on this to go like more in depth, and I'll link like my TikTok and my Instagram and stuff on there, on here as well, so then you guys can like go and click through those if you want to like get like a little bit of a recap right away. But yeah, so like I said, I was adopted, and I always knew that I was. My parents had my sister. She's their child, like I said. She's 5 years older than me. And like from the beginning, like it was never weird, or like it was never a secret. Like I can't imagine those kids in the scenarios where like they don't find out till they're like teenagers or whatever. Like I just can't imagine that. So I'm so grateful for that. I've had a really good life. We had a nice house. My parents had good jobs. And I've just been like given so many opportunities that I would not have had I not been adopted. So yeah, I was in an orphanage until I was like a year and a half old. My mom at the time, she was like 20 or 21, I want to say. I'd have to go back and check. So she was pretty young. Like I can't even imagine having a child now, and I'm 28. And she left me at the orphanage, and then when they tracked her down, like figured out where I came from, she then said like basically she can't afford to take care of me, which I totally get. But the first time I read that in my documents, it did make me cry a little bit, because like knowing that you're in an orphanage is one thing, but then hearing that like she just left me there and was like, okay, you know what I mean? Like that makes you feel like a certain way. But now as an adult, like I'm sure my feelings will change back and forth as I continue this journey, but like I get it. Most of the times I understand. I don't blame her for anything. I don't like resent her, like none of that. Like I totally understand. Like I said, I have 3 animals, and I'm like, I can't imagine taking care of a child, especially in the 90s, in Russia, and the place that was and is. I can't imagine that that's easy. So yeah, my parents flew over to Russia the first time, and they came to the orphanage and like picked me out and then they went back a few months later and brought me home. And I have like the video of the day I came home. Maybe I'll insert it here. So yeah, like growing up, I kind of had a hard time with being adopted. I kind of didn't. Like I said, kids were not nice to me. I was bullied from like kindergarten all the way to like 10th grade essentially. And one of the main things I was always bullied about was the fact that I was adopted. And just like other things, like kids are nasty. Like they would pick at literally anything that they could to try to, hurt my feelings and whatever. But I'm really, really proud to say now, like, I never, ever, ever let them get to me in that way. Like, yeah, like some of the things they said like hurt my feelings, even if, especially the things that like weren't true, or like normal like bully stuff, like there was a time, like, this one girl turned, like, the whole 8th grade against me. Like, not one person would talk to me. Like, that stuff hurts. But, like, the stuff that really should have hurt me, like, you know, saying stuff about where I come from and my family and stuff, like, it never got to me, and I'm so thankful for that, and I'm so happy and blessed that I had a family that, like, raised me to not let that happen, you know what I mean? And I never really, like, thought about finding my family growing up. I thought about my mom from time to time, and just kind of, like, wondered, you know, do I look like her? Like, what's the situation? But I never had, like, the desire, or I never really wanted to look for her growing up. And my adoptive mom and I really had a really hard relationship until a few years ago. Like, we did not get along. We could not be in the same room with each other for long periods of time without fighting. Excuse me. Yeah, it was a very difficult relationship with us, and I'm so glad that now I honestly don't even know what changed, but a few years ago something just changed, and we both just, like, dropped everything, you know what I mean? Like, all the feelings, resentment, like, whatever. And we've had a really good relationship for, like, the last 3 or 4 years, and I'm very, very happy about that. But yeah, I mean, like, growing up with my adoptive mom and I not really having a relationship, that was really hard on me too, because in the back of my mind I was like, I've missed out on having 2 moms then, because my first one obviously didn't want me, and then this one wanted me, but, like, why does she treat me this way? Like, why can't we get along? Like, what is it? Like, what is going on? And I'm sure I can go more into depth on that. Like, and it's not my place to share, like, all of her personal details either. Like, this is my story. I'll share things from, like, my perspective and things that I've gone through. But yeah, just basically, like, you know, my mom and I had a very hard time getting along. And so that made it even harder when I was 20 to go to them and say, like, hey, I've been really thinking about this. I want to find my family. Like, what do you think? I actually told my sister before my parents, because I was like, should I tell them? Like, what am I going to say? Like, are you okay with this? Like, I was just terrified. I didn't want anyone to feel offended. I didn't want to make them feel like I'm not grateful, I don't love them. Like, you know what I mean? Like, that's just such a terrifying thing to ask, even though I have every right to know where I come from. And there's other adopted kids that I know, that I talk to, that, like, their parents are just terrified at the idea of them finding their family, or even, like, asking to look. And I really hope that that changes for them, because I feel like if you're adopting a child, whether it's domestic or through foster care or international, like I was, like, that just comes with the territory. Like, you have to know that, like, there is a chance that that child's going to want to know where they came from, and there's nothing wrong with that. It's just like everyone else. Like, you want to know if you look like your mom or your dad. You want to know if you have siblings, you know. And so, yeah, I was so scared to tell my parents. And so I, like, walked in, and my mom was sitting at the kitchen table, my dad was in the kitchen, and I just, like, I already started to cry because I was so scared. Like I said, my mom and I did not have a good relationship, and I was like, they're gonna be so mad at me. I was just beside myself. I was so terrified. So I immediately started crying. So they obviously thought, like, something crazy had happened, and I just was like, can I find my mom? Like, I just want to know, like, can I look at my adoption papers? And I'm, like, so blessed at their reaction. Like, they didn't even, not that they weren't, like, shocked, like, they might have been, and they might have had conversations, you know, without me there, but, like, immediately they said yeah. And they said, like, you know, you have every, like I said, every right to know that stuff, that, you know, those are your papers. They never said, like, those are our adoption papers, or, like, theirs, or, you know what I mean? Like, they always said those are your papers. And one day they would go through them with me. That was always something that was available to me. So yeah, my mom immediately got up from the table and went to get them, which I was like, okay, we're doing this. It's happening right now. Okay. And so she brought them to me. I think my dad was, like, making dinner or something. And I was over there just, like, visiting for dinner. I don't even know. I think I went over there just to ask them and, like, hang out. But So my mom sat at the table with me, my dad was in the kitchen, and she just opened them and like just let me read them. Like she didn't try to like show me them like in certain orders or like intervene or anything like that. I don't even know if that's the right word. Like she just sat there and let me open it and do whatever I was going to do with it. And so that was a very interesting experience. Like I said, when I read, the situation of, my birth mom leaving me at the orphanage and like that kind of stung, but it was actually really fascinating to me and it felt so good. Like on my papers, it has my mom's name. That's the first time I ever knew what my mom's name was. And that's when I figured out how old she was at the time. And it lists like her features and my dad's features. Like they both had gray eyes, and so I have gray eyes. And it said how tall they were, and I'm literally like right in between the two of them. And they both had like the same color hair as I do. Like my hair is not naturally this color. I'm like a medium brown with like a lot of blonde and like kind of red naturally. And so like it matches. Like it was so surreal, if that's even the right word. I don't even know. Like just the feeling of like, I don't even know what they look like. I still don't know what they look like, but knowing that like I look like them, like this is where I got this from, this is why I'm this tall, like it was incredible just to know that. And I said from the start, I don't know if I already said this, I'm probably rambling, I'm so sorry. But like if I can never find my mom or my dad or anything, like if I find them and they don't want a relationship, that's fine. Like that's their business. I'll know that I did everything that I could. I just want to know what they look like. I just want to know if I look exactly like my mom or not. I want to know if I look like my dad. I want to know if I have siblings and what they look like, but truly I just want to know what my mom looks like. And my dad. Like I never really thought about like finding my dad. I don't know why. Until like the middle to end of like last year, I was like, oh, why haven't I thought about the possibility of like finding him first? Or like, it's crazy. So yeah, I decided then that I was gonna look into it, and my adoption agency was actually in Pittsburgh, PA, and where we lived in West Virginia is like the very tip top, so we're only like 40 minutes from Pittsburgh, and that's where my adoption agency was. And I remember my sister and I drove there, and it didn't exist anymore. Like I said, this was like 1995. I was born in 1995, but I was adopted in 1996, and I was, what did I say, 20? I don't even know what year I turned 20. I'm not good at math off the top of my head, but a long time, like 20 years had passed. Do you know what I mean? So, it's very hard. It's like I said, like being from where I'm from makes it even harder. Like I feel like I would have an easier time if I was born here or anywhere else in the world. Like it's one thing to have an ocean in between, where you are and where you're from. And then like, it's a scary place. I'm not gonna lie. Everyone is afraid of that place and what goes on there, especially now with like everything that's going on in the world. And so and it's very hard to get through to people. And like I called different like agencies and different like numbers that I just like Googled, and like I tried to find people to help me right off the bat, and like nobody knew what I was asking. Nobody knew who to send me to. No one knew how to help me or like anything. So that was really discouraging right off the bat. And that's kind of been like what it's been for 8 years. I've had a really, really hard time making any progress, but I have met a couple other adoptees like through social media. And one girl was adopted from like the complete opposite side of the country, and she found her mom just with like her name. She had none of the information that I have, and she offered to help me, and I was so excited because that was like a few years later. And so I sent her some of my information and stuff, and then she just never spoke to me again. So it was a lot of that, like getting my hopes up, getting crushed, like getting someone to finally understand and finally help me, like just disappear, like things like that. And so I haven't really looked at it. I haven't thought, I mean, I've thought about it, but I haven't done anything to really like get back into my search for probably 4 years, maybe 4 or 5 years. And so I don't know what came over me. I think I just had been seeing like a lot of it on my TikTok for some reason, and like movies were coming out that like talked more about adoption, and I was just seeing more videos of people finding their birth families, and I was like, I think I'm ready. It's been 4 years, I'm so much more of an adult than I was then. Like, maybe things have changed. Like, maybe I was so scared to get started because I didn't want to get my hopes up and like just have them destroyed yet again. But that's kind of like what comes with this. And so this time I said, I'm gonna start this, but I want to document it this time. I want to make TikToks, I want to make videos, even just for me to have to look back on and like show my children and stuff. Like, I want to share my journey, whether it goes really good or really freaking bad. Like, I want to share it. I want to connect with other adoptees. I want to help people. Like, maybe they, haven't thought of certain ways that like I have to find them, or vice versa. Like, I just want to share it because, like I said, I think in the beginning of this video, like, had I had someone, or at least had someone to watch, like, when I started this, like, maybe it would have given me like a little bit more like comfort. I don't know what the word is, but yeah. So I decided the beginning of last year in 2023 that I was gonna dive back in. So when I first started, probably like a year or so into it, my cousin actually bought me a 23andMe DNA test for because he knew I was starting. And I was so excited, and at the time I really thought I was gonna get like a cousin or an uncle or whatever. And I actually cried the day that I got my results because I had no close relatives, not one. The closest were like third and fourth cousins. And I even messaged some of them and they had absolutely no idea who, I had names, they had no idea. So that was really discouraging. And so I hadn't really done anything with that. So I got back into looking at my 23andMe, like, some things have kind of changed as you get like more DNA and like it'll redo your stuff every once in a while. But it's like, I'm like 99% Eastern European, like Russia, like that is my DNA. Like, I am full-blooded Russian pretty much. And even just like doing that was really good to see like the breakup of, my ancestry and like the traits that I have. Like, it can predict certain things. So, like, I'm really glad that I did it. And I do have relatives, and I've connected with one. Her name was Dasha, and she's like my third or fourth cousin. And so when I started this again in 2023, I was like, I'm just gonna message, like, because it said like I think there was 10 relatives on my 23andMe that still lived in Russia, or at least it said anyways. And I was like, I'm just gonna pick one, because then I haven't tried that yet, you know what I mean? If they're there, maybe, they have like access to things that I don't have access to. They can obviously read the language, speak the language. Like, let's try something totally out of the box. If she can't help me, we'll move down the list, or whatever. Like, what do I have to lose at this point? That's my motto this whole time. So I messaged Dasha and I asked, I told her my situation, and I will never, ever, ever be able to repay her for her kindness. She immediately said yes, she would help me. She thought my story was crazy and amazing. And yeah, so that's when our relationship kind of formed. I sent her my mom's name, her address at the time, and things like that. And it exploded like overnight. Having Dasha's help, she found more information on my mom and like my grandma, who we assume, like, she just found more information in like, I think it was 2 or 3 days than I had in 8 years. And I was like, holy moly, like, this actually could happen for me. Like, this is absolutely insane. And like I said, I honestly, like, I don't even know what I could ever do to repay her. But so I connected with her, but at the same time, I was still transferring my DNA to other sites. Like, you can transfer your 23andMe DNA, like, it puts it in like a code. You can transfer it to other sites. The only one you can't do that with is Ancestry. So I moved my 23andMe to Family Tree DNA and MyHeritage. And I was getting like different relatives, and then I think it was MyHeritage. One of the two of those, I actually had a guy named Sergey, who was like the closest one I had found yet. He was still like a third cousin, I think, but he was the closest third cousin, if that makes sense. Like, his DNA, like our segments that we had the most. And he had a huge family tree. And some of the names on his family tree actually matched some that Dasha had found on documents recently, like with my mom's name on them. So I was like, well, they have to connect somehow. So all of this was happening at the same time. Dasha's like looking into, like, you know, on her end, she's looking for research. I'm still doing the ancestry, or not the ancestry. Well, I did ancestry, but I'm still doing the DNA stuff, transferring, looking into that. My boyfriend's mom is super into it. So is my mom, into the ancestry. Like, they've built their whole family trees. So my boyfriend's mom was kind of helping me figure out how DNA works. What do these percentages mean? What do these segments mean? Like, stuff like that. And so at the time I was going to actually message Sergey, because that's, like I said, that's the closest I've had. And I was going to say, like, hey, like, this is my situation. Does this name mean anything to you because you have this similar name, like the last name, on your tree? And I hadn't done it yet. And at the same time, I was also sharing my journey on social media. So I was posting on my Instagram and on my TikTok, and I had a video call with Dasha. We were talking, you know, about the stuff that she had found, and I told her, you know, I met this girl. She actually found her mom using a Russian social media app, and she commented on my TikTok and told me that, and so we were going back and forth. And at the time, I wasn't able to like access it for some reason, because it wants to send you like a code to make an account. So she, bless her, her name's Anna. She actually like said, oh, absolutely, like, I'll look up your mom for you. Just send me her birthday, her name, like, stuff like that. And she found my mom in like 5 minutes on a Russian social media app called VK. That's just the abbreviation. I don't remember. It's like a really hard name to pronounce, but she sent it to me. Well, she sent me 2 profiles, and she was like, this, I think, is the same person. My mom's name that I know she has, but then like we searched her newer name that Dasha found. She'd either gotten married or something. And she found that, and on her profile she listed a daughter who wasn't me. So that's how I found out I have a half sister. And that was like, I cried. I think Mark and I were at Lowe's, like, because we had bought the house recently, and we were like in the plant aisle because I wanted to plant flowers, and I just started crying, and I called my mom in tears, and I was like, oh my God, we found her, like, this is crazy. And so Anna, being the angel that she is, she messaged my mom for me and sent her a couple photos of me, and that was in like March of 2023, April maybe. And we haven't heard back since. My mom hadn't used that account in a really long time, so I honestly don't expect her to see it. She could see it tomorrow. She could see it in 5 years from now, you know, we don't know. But I think now that we're entering the new year, and I have some other updates that I'll share. I hope this video is not like an hour long. I'm so sorry, guys. I'll go more into depth about other things, but I just wanted to share like a brief, you know, broad, you know, piece of my story to kind of get us started. But I don't even know what I was saying. I've already lost my train of thought. My mom probably won't see those. And so going into this year, I think I'm gonna get back with Dasha and see if we can like continue research. Maybe like she can think of different ways to possibly access my mom and like figure out where she is, and just a different way to make contact, because I really don't have high hopes about the social media thing. But you never know. So she found my mom, which is amazing. We messaged her, no update on that right now. And at the same time, I just decided to do Ancestry because that's the only DNA site that I hadn't done. And that's what my mom and Mark's mom use because they love it. Oh my God, they're both like Italian, so they have their whole thing and they can look up all these records and stuff. They love it. So I was like, I'm just gonna do it, because if I do it, then I'll have my stuff in there, and like if people are alive, like there's not gonna be like documents and stuff in there for you to search really. But if I do my DNA, like I'll have, who knows, what do I have to lose at this point? As I said, like we've tried it all, let's just keep going. So yeah, I did my Ancestry and it came up with a close relative, which was the craziest turn of events that I think I could have ever asked for. And it's the same as 23andMe, like it'll separate your relatives into sides, like under parent 1, under parent 2. But there was a guy that popped up, and there's like parent 1, parent 2, and then there's one that just doesn't have a category, and his name's Andre. And it says he's related to both sides. And so with the amount of DNA that we share, we are most likely half siblings, which is crazy. So it's like another sibling that I found out about. And I was so excited. But at the time we didn't know that was the situation. Like, he's probably my half sibling. We won't know until we actually like communicate and maybe even do like our own test or whatever. But like the percentage and stuff like that broken down, like that's the most likely possibility. So I messaged him and I just said, like, you know, looks like we're really closely related. I would love to connect. And then he didn't really answer. So then I sent him one like a day or two later. And I said, you know, I forgot to say, like, this is who I'm looking for. Like, do these names mean anything to you? Like, can't wait to hear back from you. Like, thank you. And that was in April of 2023. And he read it. And before I had sent that message to Andre, he was not on Ancestry at all. Like, he would log in maybe like yearly, you know what I mean? But you can see the last time they log in, he was logging in every month. And I was in such turmoil for like 2023. Like, why isn't he messaging me back? Like, what do I have to do? Like, why wouldn't he message me back? Like, will he message me back? What do I have to do to get him to respond? Because in my heart, I was like, he knows. He has like the information that I need. Someone that I need is on his tree, because he had a tree, but it was completely private because if people are alive, they don't show up. And I just, like, I really felt like he had the answer to like all of my problems. You know what I mean? Like, he held the answer to my life, and that made it even more difficult. And so, you know, I hadn't done anything else with Dasha. I did tell her that I think he popped up. I think I should probably go and check on that. And she's been so excited for me. And yeah, so I debated sending another message. I even changed my name on Ancestry to my Russian name, because if he was in Russia, like, maybe that's how he'll get like more comfortable. Maybe that'll get him to respond. And then I decided, like, right before Christmas, it was either like the week of or the week before, I can't remember. It was like the 19th or the 20th, I swear. I decided, like, let's just send him another message. It's been months and months and months. I'm torturing myself about this. So I changed my name back to my American name, which my name's Catherine. I just go by Katie, but my Russian name is Ekaterina, which is Catherine. So my parents kept my name, just we use the American version, obviously. So I made my Ancestry back to my American name, but I put my whole birth name in my bio and like said, you know, I'm adopted, I'm looking for my family, whatever. And then I messaged him again, and that's when I finally said, like, hey, I'm adopted, I'm just looking for my family. Like, I really truly believe that like someone on your tree is who I'm looking for, or they can get me closer. Like, please help me. And I didn't expect him to respond. I kept myself busy all week. I was terrified that he wouldn't respond, because I had been really having a hard time. And he responded like 2 or 3 days later. And I'll make another video on that because this is already like 30 minutes long. But basically, Andre was actually adopted as well. And which is crazy. And he said that I probably know way more than he does. And like, he probably won't be able to help me. Like, it'll probably be the other way around. But he wants to figure it out, and he wants to connect. And I didn't tell him this situation of how I think we are related, because I feel like that's really overwhelming, especially if he's just starting his search. But yeah, we both said, like, let's figure it out. Like, we want to connect, we want to get to know each other. And so I just asked him, I told him I'd tell him everything that I know, everything that I've done, I'd help him. I said I would love to figure out how we're related. We were very, very close. And I just asked where he lives and how old he is. So that's my update. And I feel like that in 30 some minutes that I've been recording this, I feel like that's a lot. You guys are gonna have a lot of questions, and there's some things I probably glazed over. I've been rambling for so long, and there's some things I could go into more depth on or less depth. And I'm gonna make a whole like playlist of videos and really go into like each section of like what it is like being adopted. I want to go more into depth into like how I originally started my search, what I did when I did my DNA tests, what I did with Dasha, like in looking for documents, and how I found Andre, and how you can tell like your percentages of DNA and all this stuff. Like, I really want to share that stuff because I really think that like that is so helpful. and I just want to connect with more adoptees, and I really want us to like be in this together and have this community of supporting each other and loving each other and being truly so excited for each other. If you want to find your family, like I'm all for it. I want nothing more than like everyone to know where they come from. And if you don't have any desire, that's totally okay. Like we have close family friends, they adopted two boys and one wants to know stuff and one doesn't. It's just, you know, it totally depends on who you are. But yeah, I feel like this is the perfect way to bring back my YouTube. Like I said, I want to make so many videos about my adoption journey, and I want to post stuff about my work, like my photo and video projects, and house renovations, and like our dogs and like our cat. Like I just want to share my life, and I love YouTube videos, and I watch them every single day. That's like the first thing I do every morning when I have my coffee. I watch all my vlogs and videos that I love to watch of people, and I truly loved it when I used to do it as well. So why not? 2024, I have a list this long, okay, of things I want to do, things I want to be better at. I want to do more of this, less of this, and documenting everything is like at the top of my list. One of the things at the top. Obviously, finding my family is number one. I really hope that this year, excuse me. I really hope this year is everything I want it to be and everything I think that it will be. I think this is going to be my year. I have a whole new like mindset now that Andre's responded. I have a whole new hope. I'm terrified. I'm nervous. But I just want to, I'm like creating my dream life. I want to, you know, obviously I want everything to go well with the adoption stuff. But like, I'm waiting for that proposal, guys. Like we are so happy. And this is like our house, like our first house together after 8 years. Like this is where I'm supposed to be. And I truly want this year to be like, I am fully living my dream life, and I'm creating my dream life with the person that I love and our little animal children. And I don't know, maybe that's super sappy and like ridiculous, but I love YouTube, and I have talked about it for years and years and years that I'm going to bring it back. And so let's freaking do it. I'm going to try to post on here once a week, if not more. I work from home, so my schedule is like all over the place. And I should have enough time to do like all kinds of stuff. But yeah, that is a rough story, I guess, of my life and my story being adopted. And I can't wait to give you guys updates and just connect with everyone. So if you have any questions or you want to know more, please comment. If you are adopted or you know someone's adopted, I'd love for you to like share this video with them. And subscribe, and I just want to like grow this like community of at least part of the community of adoptees, and then like other like dog moms and like whatever. But yeah, so that is it. I will see you guys soon.